Well, I thought of something that some of the things that happened to me in my life, and one of the things I remember that happened, I heard some people arguing when I was real young. A couple old country folks. They were. I don't really know what they were. Whether they was. We didn't have any neighbors in the farm business, so they must have just been people that would lived out sort of in the part of the country where we were. But they had a statement that I've thought about a lot of times in my life, and I don't know. I thought it stuck with me. I don't know why, but it's like when some people say. I've heard a guy one time say a long time ago. He said, "Boy, I wouldn't do that under no circumstances. Before I'd do that, I'd get me a wooden bill and I'd peck shit with the chickens." I don't know how I remember that. That was the funniest thing I ever heard. I still remember it after all those years. Another funny one that I heard, we didn't have no indoor plumbing in our house. And they finally come down that street. I think I explained earlier, in case you hadn't read all these, I'll try to explain it again. We didn't really live on the farm. We had a farm, but we didn't live on it. Now, it's kind of unique in a way, but suffice it to say that my daddy was a dairy farmer, absolute, and he was a dairy farmer, period. He had a farm and he had a dairy farm, but we didn't live on it. It's kind of unique, but it's kind of a touchy situation. I can't all explain it, but it's real. Anyway, it finally they didn't have no plumbing on. We had a mooner. We had a 2 mooner. We called it a 2 mooner. Actually, it only had one little moon in the door. That's an outhouse. What a 2 mooner is. Well, only reason we called it a 2 mooner, it had 2 seats inside the thing. But in all the years that I used that thing, no, I never was in it to use it with somebody else sitting on the other seat. But anyway, what I'm getting to, when they finally come and put a sewage line down the street that we lived on and we hooked everything up. We had a bathroom. Boy, had a bathtub, had a commode and a little wash basin and everything in there. Had to section off a part of the house to do all that. But I'll never forget what my dad said when it all got finished and everything. And I heard him talking to my mother. And I was just a little kid, you know. And he told her, he said, what in the world is the world coming to when people start doing the business in the house? Oh Lordy, I'll never forget that. That's the funniest thing I ever saw. But anyway, I made one of these things about a guy named Harold Strusley, and I wanted to tell you about how I met him. I was in my yard. We lived on a street called Bertrand, and one day I was out there with my brother, and he's 8 years older than me, and I had two of my cousins, Joe Murray, and oh Lordy, what was the other guy's name? Oh boy, Sonny Boy. Joe Boy was out there. We had two men on each side, and we were playing football and everything, and little kid come walking down the street. And I tell you, I'd never seen him before. I don't know if they just moved down there or I just never had paid attention to him being there. But anyway, my brother and my two cousins, they run out there and they started giving him a hard time. The kid was about my age. He's small. They had no business doing that. But anyway, being brought up as a Christian, and they were bullying over him, and I got on his side and started crying, and I told them they're going to have to fight me if they're going to fight him. You know, that's how I met Harold. We became friends after that. I think they felt ashamed of themselves and walked on off, and then I sit there and talked to Harold. And I come to find out, that he lived down at the very end of the street, right on the very end of it. Where it went into Wahoo Creek down there is the name of the creek, that it stopped at. But anyway, that's how I met old That's how I met old Harold Strusley. He's God. I hadn't seen or talked to him in a year. I knew his brother. He had a brother named let's see, it was named older one of his brothers was Walter, and then he had another brother. Gosh, I can't think of his name. I'm thinking. He had a sister too named Bernice, but he had another brother that I saw every once in a while because he worked in one of the offices of the machines that I used to work on for IBM. But I can't think of his name. Anyhow, that that takes care of the. His name is Strusley family. It's Harold Strusley. And anyway, the reason I mentioned him, there was another person that lived up on that. This older man named George Vossett and his family and his father had a woodworking place. They made cabinets and all kind of wood stuff. And Harold worked for him there for a while. It was just right up the road, right up Sane Road. It wasn't, gosh, a half block away or something. Anyway, one day I walked up there. I knew Harold had been working there. And I walked up there and walked up and went on to their property. And I saw Harold and I walked up over and the old man Bossett, that George Bossett, I don't know what his old man name. He was an older guy, a real old guy. And George he was about a middle. He was probably maybe 30 years old at that time. But anyway, I walked in there, and the older Mr. Vossett come walking over and asked me, said, "What you want?" And I said, "I want to talk to Harold." And he said, "Well, say what you want and get." I said, "Bye, Harold." I'll never forget that. That's the funniest thing. Ah, Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. Them old timers, boy, they didn't want nobody standing around. He didn't want nobody standing around talking to Harold while they were paying him. Oh God. We got this outfit. I need to talk about it. I need to know the name of it. I'm very forgetful. I have to write things down. And if I don't write it down, I forget the names. But there's something that I really want to talk about here. But I can't think of the name of it's Monsanto, the Monsanto people, the ones that have messed up all our vegetables and things. That's been there for probably 50, 60 years. They've been messing up everything. Let me tell you what happened. After World War II, my brother come home from service, and being a farmer, my dad gave him the dairy farm. And he was working on the farm. Well, the government had a outfit where you go. It's one of the little small towns around Dallas there, where all the farmers in the district would go out and the government was held a little education type thing to help farmers, whatever. But anyway, my brother come home with some seeds that they had sold to him called hybrid seeds, and it was corn. And my dad, we planted it, and boy, tell you, ooh, them were the biggest and best ears of corn I'd ever seen in my life. And so the next year after that, my dad rented about a 30-acre plot down on the back of our place. I did what you call share farming with it. In other words, he furnished all the money and all the tools, the tractor and the gasoline and everything. All I did was the work. He didn't do none of the work. I turned the place over. I busted it up, and then I rolled it up. Then I planted it, and then I went in there and I plowed up all the weeds and things that was growing in it while the corn was growing. I got me a hoe and I chopped it out and got all the weeds out. Boy, I mean, them old corn stalks, they grew up. I could stand on the seat of that tractor and I couldn't touch the top of the tassels. That's how, and it was beautiful, man. And I waited and no ears of corn whatsoever. I mean, and all that 30 acres, after all that work and all that time, It had beautiful stalks, but not one ear of corn. I walked down every row in that place, and there was not one ear of corn. And that's when I found out my brother didn't get the full story about that hybrid stuff. You know, that stuff, you say that you can't save the seeds on that hybrid stuff. You know, it won't grow the next season. So, it's a ripoff, and it started for you people that are mad about that. Here in this, that happened 50 years ago or better. Maybe 60. I'm not sure. I'd have to sit down and think, because I was about 15, 16 years old when I did that. So that would be, it would, 70. It would be close to 70 years ago. So they've been diddling, they've been screwing American farmers and people for at least 65, 70 years. So ain't nothing new. And Monsanto people ought to all be hung, every damn one of them. But I'll end this one on that note.